Hello everyone, welcome to the world of biology. Today we are in the chapter number 6, part 2, and we will start the packaging of DNA helix. As you all know, the body of organism is made of cells. Every cell has a well-defined nucleus in eukaryotes. This is the nucleus, and out of that you can see these are the chromosomes. And in the chromosome is made of proteins and nucleic acids. Out of that, the important nucleic acid is DNA, deoxyribose nucleic acid. So what will you see? The DNA is a very large molecule, and as far as its length is concerned, it is around more than 1 meter. Then how is this possible to fit it into the smaller cell? Especially DNA is very large and it will be the part of chromosome which are found in the nucleus, and nucleus is found in the cell. So it requires a special packaging here so that it can be fit into the small nucleus of the cell. So we will discuss about the packaging of DNA. Especially this packaging is discussed, and its very well known model is nucleosome model. Nucleosome model. So what is the nucleosome model? What is the procedure of packaging? Everything will be discussed here by using the computerized PPTs. So packaging of DNA helix. Chromosomal DNA is packaged inside microscopic nuclei. As you all know, nucleus of the cell is very small in size with the help of histones. So I have already told you there are different types of proteins found in the chromosome which will help here in the packaging. These are positively charged proteins that strongly adhere to negatively charged DNA. So what will you see? Histone proteins are positive in nature and the DNA thread is negative in nature. So they will combine strongly to each other and form complexes called nucleosomes. So the binding of histones and negatively charged DNA will result in the formation of nucleosomes. In prokaryotes, they don't have defined nucleus. The DNA is not scattered throughout the cell. The DNA, being negatively charged, is held with some positively charged proteins in a region called nucleoid. So nucleoid is the region in the bacterial cell where it is found. The DNA in nucleoid is organized in a large loops held by proteins. So its figure is not given in your book, but have a look by having the example of Escherichia coli. So what will you see? This is the loop domain structure of bacterial chromosome. So the bacterial chromosome, when it will come closer to each other, it will form some sort of loops, and this is the large enlarged structure of the loop where you can see this is the loop and this is loop anchor where the loop is closed here, and this string is shown in the larger area here where this is the protein and DNA double helix is surrounding this one. So this is very important figure that shows the DNA packaging in prokaryotes. Now come to the next, DNA packaging in eukaryotes. Eukaryotes, whose chromosome each consists of a linear DNA molecule, employ a different type of packaging strategy to fit their DNA inside the nucleus. As you all know, eukaryotic has very well defined nucleus, and in that nucleus different number of chromosomes are found in which linear DNA molecule is present. At the most basic level, DNA is wrapped around proteins known as histones. So DNA thread is wrapped around the proteins, and the most common protein is histone to form structures called nucleosome. So it will form the nucleosome here. In eukaryotes, the packaging is more complex in comparison of prokaryotes, there is a set of positively charged and basic proteins called histones. Histones are positively charged due to rich in basic amino acids like lysine and arginine. This is important point. What makes the histone positively charged? The question is what makes the histone positively charged? So your answer must be the presence of basic amino acids, especially lysine and arginine. Histones are organized to form a unit of 8 molecules called histone octamer. So what will you see? There are different types of histones found in the nucleus, and these histones will combine each other in the form of a ball, and that contains 8 molecules of histones. Come to the next. There are 4 oblique 5 major classes of histones. Especially we will discuss about the 4 classes of the histones: H1, H2A, H2B, H3 and H4. So this we will leaving this H5 here. Histones H2A, H2B, H3 and H4 are known as the core histones because their two molecules will participate to form a ball-like structure that will be known as histone octamer, while the histones H1 and H5 are known as linker histones. But according to your NCERT, H1 is the linker histone in our syllabus. This is the classification of histone. Histone proteins are of two types. Core histones. Core histones are these H2A, H2B, H3 and H4. The another one is linker histones. So H2A, H2B, H3, H4. Two of each of these core histone proteins assemble to form one octameric molecule core particle, and 147 base pairs of DNA wrap around this core particle. Although in your book there are 200 base pairs given. You have a look here. Negatively charged DNA wrapped around positively charged histone octamer to form a structure called nucleosome. A typical nucleosome contains 200 base pairs of DNA helix. So it contains 200 base pairs, and nucleosome constitutes the repeating unit of a structure in nucleus called chromatin. Thread-like strand bodies seen in the nucleus. The nucleosomes are seen as beads on string. You can compare this with the mala made of beads. So when viewed under electron microscope. Question is, theoretically how many such beads or nucleosomes do you imagine are present in a mammalian cell? In actual, it is not possible to comment on the number of nucleosomes present on the mammalian cell. But in the case of human, a diploid cell nucleus contains almost 30 million nucleosomes. So this is the number of human being, not the all mammalian cells. The chromatin is packaged to form chromatin fiber that are further coiled and condensed at metaphase stage to form chromosome. So packaging at higher level required additional set of proteins called NHC, non-histone chromosomal proteins. Now come to the next types of chromatins. As far as types of chromatins are concerned, there are two types of chromatins, euchromatin and heterochromatin. What is euchromatin? It has loose chromatin structure, means less coiled and active for transcription. So euchromatin is active DNA that can be transcribed, and it is found in the nucleus. It is called euchromatin. On the other hand, heterochromatin, it has condensed chromatin structure and is inactive for transcription. It stains dark in color and it is called heterochromatin. So there are two types of chromatins. You can see the structure here. This is the chromosome. This is the condensed chromatin, and these are the nucleosomes looking just like a beads in the string, and this is the simplest part, that is DNA helix. So chromatin is a genetic material or a macromolecule comprising of DNA, RNA and proteins which result in the formation of chromosomes within the nucleus of eukaryotic organism is termed as chromatin. Now you can see the structure here. We will come down to top. This is the entire mitotic chromosome, condensed section of chromosome. This is the short, smaller part of the chromosome. Section of chromosome in an extended form. You can see this is the loop-like structures here, and this is more closer structure here. That is the 30 nanometer chromatin fiber of packed nucleosome and beads on string. These are the nucleosomes, histone octamers, and this is the DNA. This figure is taken from your NCERT book 6.4a nucleosome. This green ball is histone octamer, that is made of 8 molecules of histone proteins, and this is the coiling of the DNA around the histone octamer, and two strings are linked by H1 histone. So this is the H1 histone. You can see the figure, close figure here, H2A. These two molecules are of H2A. These two molecules are of H2B, H3, H3 and H4, H4. And this is the H1 linker histone. Now we will discuss about the size of the DNA. So as I have already told you, distance between two consecutive base pairs in the DNA is 0.34 nanometer. If the length of DNA double helix in a typical mammalian cell is calculated, then it will be equal to the product of number of base pairs and 0.34 into 10 to the power 9 base pairs. So there is a formula derived from me, that is length of DNA is equal to number of base pairs multiplied by 0.34 into 10 to the power 9 base pairs. So if the length of the DNA is 6.6, if the number of base pairs are 6.6 into 10 to the power 9, then the length will be 2.244 meter. There is one more question is given to you. The length of DNA is more than dimension of a typical nucleus 10.6 meter. How is such a long polymer packed in the cell? Initially, as I have drawn the figure on the board, my question was this: how is this possible? Such 2.2 meter long DNA can be fit into the smaller nucleus of the cell by DNA packaging, and it is explained by nucleosome model. There is one more numerical question. If the length of Escherichia coli DNA is 1.36 millimeter, so length of DNA is given here 1.36 millimeter. Can you calculate the number of base pairs in E. coli? So the basic formula is length equals to number of base pairs multiplied by 0.34 into 10 to the power 9 meter. So if you want to calculate the number of base pair, then the new formula will be length of DNA divided by 0.34 into 10 to the power 9. So you can calculate now 1.36 into 10 to the power minus 3 meter divided by 0.34 into 10 to the power 9 meter. So meter to meter is cancelled, and the final answer will be 0.4624 into 10 to the power 6 base pairs. So this is all about the numerical questions, and it was the DNA packaging. Basically, we have discussed the DNA packaging here, in which a longer DNA molecule is fit into the cell. Now come to the next, the search of genetic material. Actually, the real question is that which is the genetic material of the living organisms? The protein, the carbohydrate, lipids, DNA, RNA, vitamin, hormones, which biochemical will be considered as a genetic material. So we will have to search this. The discovery of nuclein by Miescher. In the year 1869, Miescher discovered the nuclein in the pus cell, and the proposition of the principles of inheritance by Mendel were almost at the same time, but that the DNA acts as a genetic material took long time to be discovered and proven. First of all, in the year 1926, the quest to determine the mechanism for genetic inheritance had reached the molecular level, and Gregor, John Mendel, Walter Sutton, T.H. Hunt, and others failed to explain that the DNA is a genetic material. So everybody was working in the genetics, but no one was known to this that DNA is a genetic material. Then how this search was ended? In the very first, you can see history. So in the search for genetic material, classification, classic experiments for evidence. The first experiment was Griffith experiment. It is also known as transformation, Griffith transformation. The second experiment was done by Hershey and Chase. DNA necessary to produce more viruses, but still it is unknown to us. And the other supporting evidence is DNA volume doubles before cell divide. A Chargaff's rule was proposed here. So one by one we will explain each and everything. The first is the transforming principle. What is transforming principle and who proposed this? We will discuss here. It was proposed by Frederick Griffith in the year 1926. Actually, Frederick Griffith worked in his experiment that pneumonia pathogen, the name of the pneumonia pathogen is Streptococcus pneumoniae, it is also known as pneumococcus, and he observed some miraculous transformation in bacteria. So there is a change in physical form of bacteria. Now the question is, how many types of pneumococcus bacteria found? So when pneumococcus bacteria are grown in culture media plate, there are two colonies of the bacteria developed, smooth and shiny colonies known as S strain, and rough colonies are known as R strain. A figure is given to explain this. This round smooth structure is showing the S strain and this is the rough strain. S strain bacteria have a mucus. So why does the S strain is smooth in nature? Because it contains a mucus coat made of polysaccharide, while the R strain do not have mucus coat. So this is rough in structure. S strain is virulent. It is very active and virulent. It can cause the pneumonia and caused pneumonia in mice and died when infected. So if any mice is infected by S strain, then it will become pneumonic and it will have to die. While R strain is non-virulent and it does not cause pneumonia in the mice when infected. So you can see the two figures here. S strain, when it is injected into mice, mice will die, while the R strain, when injected into the mice, it will remain alive. It means R is not virulent and it is not causing the pneumonia in the mice. Griffith was able to kill bacteria by heating them. So as Griffith heated the S strain bacteria, then they died. He observed that heat killed S strain bacteria injected into mice did not kill them. So you can see this is S strain. It is heat killed and injected into the mice, but still mice is living. It means the effect was not shown by S strain. When he injected the mixture of heat killed S and live R bacteria, the mice died. So what will you see? He took the mixture of living R strain bacteria and heat killed S bacteria. So what will you see? When this mixture of the bacteria were injected into the mice, mice found dead. So heat killed S strain is not non-virulent and does not cause pneumonia. The heat killed S strain when mixed with the R strain injected into the mice developed pneumonia and died. What was the reason? We will discuss here. He recovered the live S strain. So when you have, Frederick Griffith have taken the S strain heat killed and R strain living. When these were mixed to each other, the DNA of the S strain, or you can say the genetic material of the S strain, changed the R strain, by transformation and mice were found dead. It means there is a biochemical responsible for this purpose, but which was that biochemical, it is still unknown. You can see what is the conclusion of transforming principle. The R strain bacteria transformed from heat killed S strain bacteria. So what will you see? S strain bacteria will transform the R bacteria by transforming principle. Transferred from the heat killed S strain had enabled the R strain to synthesize a smooth polysaccharide cord and become virulent. So R is changed to, or you can say R is transformed to S10 and become virulent. It is due to the transfer of genetic material. Still, biochemical nature of genetic material was not defined from his experiment. You can see a very important and impressive figure here, Griffith's transforming principle. So you can say these are the blue colored living R cells. When injected to mice, then what will you see? Mice is still live, and we can obtain the R strain bacteria from mice blood. These yellow structured cells are living as cells. When injected to this, the mice is killed due to pneumonia, and when its blood is taken and cultured, then as cells from dead mouse was found. Now, heat killed S strain is injected to the mice, still mice is living and no cell were found from the healthy mouse because already these are the killed bacteria. But when Frederick Griffith mixed these bacteria, living R cells plus heat killed S cells, then what will you see? These R strain were transformed to living S cells by heat killed bacteria. So again mice will die and we can obtain the S cells as well as R cells from the dead mouse. Now this is the end of the Griffith experiment. Now we will start the new experiment, that is biochemical characterization of transforming principle. Actually still biochemical was unknown in the Griffith experiment which were responsible for the transformation. So now we will discuss about the nature of the biochemical. So biochemical characterization of transforming principle. So prior to Oswald Avery, Colin MacLeod and Maclean McCarthy, the genetic material was thought to be protein. So earlier scientists were thinking that the protein is the genetic material, but it is a wrong data. They worked to determine the biochemical nature of transforming principle in Griffith's experiment. It is discovered by Oswald Avery, Colin MacLeod, and Maclean McCarthy. So Avery, MacLeod, and McCarthy. These are the three scientists. You can see the figure here. This is the Avery, MacLeod, and McCarthy. While there were a scientist, Mirsky, who proposed that protein is a genetic material, but their conclusion was against the Mirsky. They purified biochemicals from the bacteria, especially heat-killed S cell, to see which one could transform live R cell into the S cells. So what will you see? They derived the proteins, DNA and RNA from the S cell. They discovered that DNA alone from S bacteria cause R bacteria to become transformed. So they observed and concluded that DNA is responsible for the transformation of R bacteria to S bacteria, but still it is not the desired answer. So S strain, when we mix protease enzyme here and live R strain, transformation is seen. It means the protein of the S strain is digested from protease enzyme, but still that chemical is in the bacteria which is responsible for transformation. Again heat killed S strain, RNase enzyme is added here. So RNase enzyme will digest the RNA of the S strain and it will still show the transformation. It means RNA is also not the transforming biochemical. And in the finally S10, that is heat killed, and DNase enzyme is mixed and live R10 is mixed, then what will you find? DNase will digest the DNA of the S10 and there will be no any transformation. So they concluded that protease and RNase did not affect the transformation. So transforming substance was not protein and RNA. You can see the again figure here determining that DNA is the hereditary material. Heat killed as cells were taken and its biochemicals were derived lipids and carbohydrates. Now we have added proteinase or protease enzyme here. So protein will be digested. Sample should contain no protein, so protein will be absent from that. And in the second one, RNA will be absent in the that sample, and in the final DNase enzyme, no DNA here. And we will add when we will add R cells here. Here again R cells and RS cells. Then what will you see? The sample that contains no protein and no RNA is transformed, while the sample that contains no DNA is not transformed. It means the transforming biochemical is DNA. Conclusion of the experiments: proteins of heat killed S10 is not the genetic material. So RNA of heat killed S10 is not the genetic material. Digestion with DNase did inhibit transformation. They concluded that DNA is the hereditary material. Now there is a question: what is the difference between DNAs and DNAs? So this is the plural of the DNA and this is the DNase enzyme. So what will be the answer? DNA is a deoxyribonucleic acid, which is the genetic material found in living beings except viruses, which whereas the DNase is an enzyme. So DN small ASE, it will show the enzyme which is responsible for cleavage of the phosphodiester linkage in the DNA molecule. So, dear students, we have finished here the Griffiths experiment and Hershey and Chase experiment. Sorry, Avery, MacLeod and McCarthy experiment. So, if you have any question, you can ask to me. We will stay here. See you very soon. Thank you very much. Have a nice day.